Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shalom, 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 Yahusha and Yahuda, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Hamashiach. Babylon is falling. Sound the alarm. Recognize that it's coming down. Listen. We're listening to none other than Hezekiah. The song is entitled Freedom Wins 1.5. As you know, this is my theme song right now. Listen, Yahuwah has declared the fall of Babylon. Now, listen, this is a prophetic word. This is a word of prophecy. This is a word of prophecy. All the prophets spoke of the restoration of the nation. Of course, what preceded that was the judgment and the captivity. But the righteous redemption of Yahuwah's people is at hand. Yahuwah is choosing from amongst these nations. He is choosing amongst Yasharal and Yehuda only those who receive the witness, the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Only those who have been born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, you're going to keep his Torah because he's giving you the capacity in this witness, having received the Ruach HaKodesh, to keep the commandments. But you got to be sealed. You got to be sealed. You got to be sealed. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, I pray right now that you will take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuwah, you declared by your word that from my belly will flow rivers of living water. This she spake of the Ruach HaKodesh that we would receive. Yahuwah, I have received this Ruach HaKodesh. I have been baptized with water and I have been cleansed by the blood of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. I pray that I would not cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up lame. Yahuwah, I pray that your word would be a lamp unto their feet and a light unto their pathway. That by your word you would lead men to righteousness, to bring them to repentance, to bring them to you. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, that's my desire. You called me to cry out, to spare out, to lift up my voice like a trump in Zion. You told me to declare your word to the people. Yeah, I want to declare your word in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. He opened the seals. Come back to the covenant. We made a covenant. We made a deal. We made a deal. Listen. Yasharal and Yahuda, your ancestors made a covenant. Listen, your ancestors made a covenant. Your ancestors entered into a covenant with Yahuwah. They made a deal, right? It's the art of the deal. You have to come by Yahusha Ha'Mashiach to be established in this kingdom, in this life. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, hear ye, hear ye. Hear the word of Yahuwah. Let the trump, let the shofar sound. Understand the time we're in, knowing that Yahuwah is looking to gather his people. Listen, Yahuwah is gathering his people. He is gathering Yasharal and Yehuda that are established in this witness, right? This witness is the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. This witness is what Yehochanan spoke of in 1st Yehochanan, the 5th chapter, the 1st through the 12th verse. It is what establishes us in this kingdom, in this witness. And the expectation is that in having received this witness, you can keep Torah. You can keep his commandments. You can live according to his word. It's not rocket science. It's Ruach. And if you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, you are going to be able to make sense of it. But you got to receive this witness in Emunah. You have to receive the witness in Emunah. You got to receive Yahuwah's Torah made flesh. You got to establish and understand in your heart that you are a sinner, that you are wicked and diabolical, just like your ancestors is. You have to receive forgiveness for yourself and your ancestors. Listen, you got to understand that this thing is real, and there is only one way, and Yahuwah has revealed it to his servants by his Ruach HaKodesh, in order that they may teach you this Torah, this Masorah, and bring clarity. Because you know what, Yahuwah, listen, if you think you're going to delve into this and not have Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh, listen, you grossly mistaken. If you think you're going to get into this Masorah and this Torah, this CEPHER, and understand it without the Ruach HaKodesh, you are grossly mistaken. If you think you're going to get a revelation of truth, you're going to get a lie, but you ain't going to get a revelation of the truth unless you have the Ruach HaKodesh of truth that is given to you, that's going to lead you and to guide you into all truth. Listen, you better get a clue. You better get a clue. You must be born again with the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to be born again. And you know what? You got to receive the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Let's go to 1 YOCHANON. Just because I just feel the need to have to go to 1 YOCHANON. 1 YOCHANON, the 5th chapter, beginning at the 1st verse. Whosoever has emunah in the witness, whosoever has emunah in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, whosoever has emunah that Yahusha is the Mashiach and is born of Elohiym. You got to believe. Whosoever believeth that Yahusha is the Hamashiach is born of Elohiym. See, because you have to have emunah in this, right? You have to have emunah in this. You have to believe, right? And all he requires is a mustard seed of faith. Listen, if you struggle, you say, Yahuwah, I believe, but help thou my unbelief. And Yahuwah will help you. He will bring you into this knowledge, into this freedom, into this liberty, into the washing and the cleansing of your sins and the filth that comes with your sins. Listen, whosoever, Yahuwah has a covenant with Yasharal and Yahudah. They are his firstborn, right? But they have to be born again, right? Whosoever is more than just Yasharal and Yahudah. Whosoever is the nations, which Yahuwah has chosen from among. Whosoever. Yeah. This ain't no Hebrew thing only. It's whosoever. No, it doesn't negate that we're still his people. It doesn't negate that we're called by his name. Doesn't negate that we are of the E1B1A bloodline. It does not negate that. What it does is complete it. This witness completes us in him. Yeah. All our ancestors, the patriarchs, who laid down their lives in righteousness, right? Our ancestors, right? They loved Yahuwah. And it was counted unto them as righteousness. Abraham believed Yahuwah, and it was counted unto him as righteousness. Yitzhak and Yaakov, they believed Yahuwah Elohiym. Listen, whosoever. Yeah, it's to us. Yeah, it's to our ancestors. And listen. I've said this before, and I'll say this again, right? Just because you woke, right, don't mean you his. Right? just because you woke, right? Just because you know you the people, just because you know you E1B1A, right? Does not guarantee your Yeshua. Your Yeshua is guaranteed through faith in the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Your guarantee is having received this witness. And then having received this witness, you become sealed because you believe it. Listen, whosoever believeth that Yahusha is Hamashiach, he is the salvation. He is the deliverer. He is him who provides Yeshua, right? Is born of Elohiym. Listen, I'm born of Elohiym. Why? Because I have his Ruach HaKodesh. When Yahusha cleansed, when Yahuwah applied the blood of Yahusha to cleanse me, right, of that sin nature, right, it separated me from Hasatan and my allegiance and dedication to his kingdom, right, because I no longer am of him, right. But in this witness, having been cleansed, having been baptized in water, having been cleansed by the blood of Yahusha, now we become his because we receive his Ruach HaKodesh. His Ruach HaKodesh, right? We are born of Elohiym because we have experienced a rebirth. Yaakov, Yahuda, a rebirth. He says, and everyone that loveth him is begotten of love, and him also is that begotten of him. Listen. And everyone that loveth him, right? Yahuwah said in Exodus 20:6, he shows mercies unto thousands of them that love him and keep his commandments. That's what Yahuwah said, right? And then Yahusha said in John, I think it's the 15th chapter, he says, if you love me, right, you'll keep my commandments. Same thing that the Father said, right? He shows mercies unto thousands of them that love him by keeping his commandments. Yahusha said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments, and I have to keep the Father's commandments, right? Because you're going to walk in agreement with me, and you're going to demonstrate my love. He ain't talking about this, ooh, I feel tingly thing. He's talking about demonstration by what you do. Is a recognition to him that you love him. But you can't even do that unless you're born of him. That's why Yahusha said you must be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to have the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to be born again. You got to be set apart. You got to be his. You got to be his. There's no confusion here. You have to have this witness. Right? He says here, listen. By this we know that we love the children of Elohiym. We know we love the children of Yahuwah. Right? Why? Well, we love Yahuwah. And you know, why do we know we love Yahuwah? Because we keep his commandments. And his commandments are not grievous. His commandments are not hard. Right? The way of the transgressor is hard. But the word of Yahuwah and keeping of the Torah is not hard for those who are established in Yahuwah, because they have Yahuwah on the inside of them. They have been born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh, which is Yahuwah and Yahusha on the inside of you. Listen, you better hear the word of Yahuwah. You better hear the word of Yahuwah. You better hear the word of Yahuwah. Right? Babylon's fallen. Yahuwah's gathering the people. He ain't gathering you because you E1B1A. He's not gathering you because you E1B. He ain't gathering you because you make a trip and leave here and go to the continent. Right? And commune with your ancestral Ruachs. No. Nah. Nada. No do. No go. No. You are his because you have been born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh, and by your demonstration of keeping his commandments, obeying his Torah, he elevates you to the position of sonship and daughtership. Beloved, now we the sons and daughters of Yahuwah. It does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that we shall be like him, because we shall see him as he is when he appears. Listen, you understand that you're his. His commandments aren't hard. Commandments aren't hard. It's not hard to obey Torah. It's not hard to obey Torah. Listen, let me tell you something. Make no mistake about it, right? There's a war going on in your members, right? But you have the Ruach HaKodesh. That's your edge. That's your edge that separates you from everybody else in this world. You don't have to yield, right, to any of your members or your desires that may be apart from what you receive in Torah. You don't have to. You can be established in this witness. You can pray. You can fast. Listen. My Aki Hezekiah. He said, I got to make the devil mad. I got to go on fast. Listen, you got to do whatever it takes to get this job done, because he's giving it to you, right? You got to decide in yourself that you're ready to crucify your flesh, right? You got to continue to work to crucify your flesh. Now listen. You don't continue in sin. Listen, my Aki Yosef. From Rebirth Assemblies, right? He posted a scriptural text that resonates with me. He says it's Hebrews 10, 26 and 27. And you know I love Hebrews, right? You know I love Hebrews, right? Right? Because that's us. Right? He said, listen. For if we go on sinning deliberately, right? If we continue to deliberately sin after having received the knowledge, right, of the truth, of the Torah, we receive the knowledge of the truth by the revelation of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is in us. There no longer remains a sacrifice for sin, because we've already availed ourselves of the blood of Yahusha, right? Therefore, we can continue to do those things, because if we do, there is no sacrifice for us, right? And if you continue to, right, you will eventually move into reprobation. Right, you will eventually move into the place where there remaineth no more sacrifice for you. He says, listen, there's no longer remains a sacrifice for sin, but a fearful expectation, judgment, Yahuwah's justice, right, and a fury of fire. Right, Yahuwah is going to burn. He's going to burn, gather the wheat, the chaff, the branches. He's going to burn them, right? Because they didn't want to continue and dwell in this witness to the point where they were willing to crucify and put their flesh to death, right? See, because you got to have a Ruach HaKodesh. See, because if you got the Ruach HaKodesh, it give you the strength, it give you what you need. You got to have the Ruach HaKodesh because it's going to give you what you need to get the job done. The Ruach HaKodesh is the Ruach HaKodesh of truth. Listen, you can get into the word of Yahuwah with the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, and all of a sudden Yahuwah by his Ruach HaKodesh overshadow you with something that will strengthen and quicken you, make you alive to the point where you know what, you refuse to do anything outside of the will of Yahuwah. Yeah. You got to have the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the only way you're going to be his, because you got to have his spirit. Yahusha said you got to be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh because you got to have Yahuwah live on you. Right. And if Yahuwah lives in you, you can't sin. No, you can't deliberately, after receiving the knowledge of truth, sin. Willfully. Just continually. You don't have this Ruach HaKodesh. And if you do, if you did, it's left you. And you ain't got it no more. And a fury of fire that will consume the adversaries. The adversaries of the truth. The adversaries of the Torah. You gotta understand this. You gotta understand this. Yahuwah's giving you the Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh is Yahuwah in you. Yahusha in you. Listen, and it's power. It's power. It's power. Right? Ephesians 1:19. He says, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power? It exceeds greatness. His power to usward. To us. His Ruach HaKodesh in us, to usward, who have emunah and are established in this witness. Exceeding great power, exceeding power. Dunamus. Exousia. Explosive dynamite power. Right? But you gotta believe it. You gotta have emunah. You gotta have emunah. Right? To us what? Believe. You have to have emunah in this witness. You got to believe in this witness. You got to stand on the truth of this witness. You gotta believe it. You gotta believe it. You gotta believe it. He says, according to the working of his mighty power. His power. Yahuwah. His Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach of Yahuwah. The Ruach of wisdom, the Ruach of understanding, the Ruach of counsel, the Ruach of might, the Ruach of knowledge, and the Ruach of the fear of Yahuwah. This Ruach HaKodesh has been given to you so that you can overcome. Set you apart. It makes you super. It makes you hell-like. Right? But you got to receive this witness. You got to stay dedicated with you. You got to give yourself to fasting and praying. You got to give yourself to the Torah, reading and meditating. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to put it in your ears when you're going down to bed at night. Right? I play it audibly at night. Right? Audibly. I put my phone on and I play it audibly. Right? I just let it go. Right? The Ruach HaKodesh of truth. I meditate on the Torah day and night. Listen. 1 John. He says, for this is the love of Yahuwah, Eluah, right? That we keep his Torah, right? And his commandments are not grievous, right? Of course you're going to keep his Torah if you have his Ruach HaKodesh. You're going to keep his Torah. You're going to have a capacity to keep your Torah. You're going to have a capacity and a desire to do it because of his Ruach in you. Listen, you've been swept clean. You ain't got your old nature. And so you know what? When he cleanses you, he takes all that out, right? But you know, your memory, your mind has a memory, right? And you know, you still got to deal with the self-talk of Hasatan. You got to understand that you got to cast down imaginations, right? Right? You got to cast down them diabolical thoughts, right? That he's trying to impose on you, right? That's going to perpetually draw you away from Torah, right? Because the more you meditate on Hasatan's conversations, his ideas, his treachery, right? The more you will begin to move in that direction and eventually sin. You don't have to, though. Because the Ruach HaKodesh tell you right away, no, don't do that, son. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stay away from that. Don't get involved with that. Right? Ruach HaKodesh will. Right? And then, you know, as long as you fast and pray, you keep Yahuwah's word before you, he's going to show you in the word. Well, no, you can't. That ain't for you. No, don't move that way. Yahuwah's commandments aren't grievous. But the only way you're going to keep them is having his Ruach HaKodesh. Ezekiel 36. You know, these are scriptures that just confirm the word of Yahuwah. Right? Ezekiel 36, right? He says 36:23, I will sanctify my great name. I will set my name apart. My name is going to be Kodesh. My name is going to be Kodesh in them, right? That name is Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. That Kodesh name is going to be in them. He says, and I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned amongst the heathen, which he profaned in the midst of them, right? The heathen. You profaned his name, but they profaned his name. You know, we talked about this. You know, all you got to do is visit some of the previous YouTubes that I've done. Listen. They profaned his name. You know, they took it into the four corners of the earth with this Christian diabolical doctrine. I don't want to get off of that. Listen. Profaned his name. He says that I am Yahuwah. They shall know that I am Yahuwah, saith Yahuwah Elohiym. And I shall be sanctified. I shall be Kodesh. I shall be set apart in them. How is he going to set us apart in him? Right? But just turning back to Torah? No. Because in order to be set apart, you got to be Kodesh. In order to be Kodesh, you have to fulfill a process. Right? You have to have a blood atonement for the sin. You can't bypass that. You got to have a lamb. You got to have an offering. Right? You got to repent of your sins. You got to acknowledge that you were wrong, that you need Yahuwah's grace. Right? You need Yahuwah's mercy. Right? You need to express to what you did was sin and it was wrong. Right? And then what Yahuwah does is he's like, okay, you need an offering. Right? Well, you need a high priest actually. You need a high priest to take an offering to. Right. We don't have a high priest. Right? Not after the order of Aaron. Because that priesthood has faded away. That priesthood has decayed. That priesthood has decayed. Right. That priesthood has decayed. Right. So Yahusha is now that high priest forever. Right. He's the high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Listen. And you know we kings and priests. Right. We are of Yahusha. Right. Make no mistake about it. We ain't no high priest. The only thing that you could present is Yahusha's blood, and that's why he said, "Whoever sins you remit, he'll remit." Because as that priest, you could bring somebody into the salvation, right, by introducing them to the need to repent, just like Peter did on the day of Pentecost. Peter was a high priest at that time. He was doing exactly what was necessary, right? And providing the Lamb of Yahuwah. He says, listen, to take away the sins of the world. Now, Yahusha is king and priest. Yahusha is the ultimate high priest authority, right? That went into the Shamayim with his own blood, which paved the way for our Yeshua, right? But as recipients of his blood, right? And having received the gift of his Ruach HaKodesh, right? Now we have the capacity, right? To be the witnesses. The witnesses to the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood, right? The witness is you must be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the witness, right? Everything that Yahusha taught was to restore people, right, to their place in Yahuwah, right, through his own blood. It's got to be shed in blood. He said, listen. He says, for I will take you from among the heathens and gather you out of all the countries and bring you to your own land. That ain't happened yet. Right? That ain't happened yet. It doesn't matter if you woke and you go to the continent. That ain't happened yet. If you go to the continent right now and have Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh, right? You're in the land the land. But the place that Yahuwah is going to gather, he's still going to have to gather you from there. Unless you just hit the place point blank, period. Boom, bullseye. But we got people all over sub-Saharan Africa, right? We got people all over sub-Saharan Africa, right? He says, listen, then I will sprinkle clean water upon you and cleanse you. Now, he's not talking about after he takes you from these countries. He's talking about he's going to do this in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. This is going to happen in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach as a witness. We'll be like, damn, okay, so we're going to go over to the Lamb and then he's going to clean us up. No, and wrong. He's going to do that in the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Right? You're going to be cleansed in the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. He said, I will sprinkle clean water on you. You must be born again of the water. Right? I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be cleansed. Right? From your filthiness. Right? You're going to be washed clean. Right? He said, listen. And from your idolatries. Right? See, now in order to be cleansed from your idolatry, you have to have that sin consciousness removed. And the only way to remove that sin consciousness is through the blood of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Without the shedding of blood, there's no forgiveness of sins. Excuse me. There's no cleansing of sins without the blood of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. He says, listen, a new heart. Right? See, I'm going to cleanse you with the blood of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Right? Sweep you clean. Right? You're gonna be swept and garnished. Right? Clean. Right? Because that's what the blood does of Yahusha. That's what it does. Right? And once he does that, right, you will be cleansed from your filthiness. Right? He said, and a new heart. He's going to circumcise your heart, right? See, now as a nation of people, we understood circumcision as a definitive identity marker for us. See, because we understood that Yahuwah wanted the sins, the foreskins of our genitals circumcised, right? Because we were going to be different than all the rest of the nations. Because all the rest of the nations were doing it because that was primitive. They felt that was... Yahuwah said, no, this is going to be the identifying marker for you, right? I'm going to circumcise your flesh, and it's going to identify you as the people, right? Along with some other things that you're going to do. It's going to identify you. But this is what he told IVRIYM to do, right? Circumcise the flesh, right? But see, now, it doesn't matter that you're circumcising your flesh. Right? Now, being Hebrew, it doesn't matter. No, let me clarify. Yahuwah still expects us to circumcise our sons. He expects us to be circumcised. He expects us to circumcise his son because it's a covenant marker, right? But it's not the covenant marker that's going to establish you in the kingdom. The establishment of the being established in the kingdom is through the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach and having faith in the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. All right. So he says here, a new heart. A new heart also will I give you, and a new Ruach. A new Ruach. Right? Now you were dead, right? Spiritually, you were dead. Right? So he gonna give you a new heart. Restore your heart. Right? He gave you a new heart. A new Ruach. Right? He gonna put in you. Right? And I will take away the stony heart. Right? That wicked, dead heart. Right? And of flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. Right? I'll take away that heart of stone and give you a pliable heart of flesh. Right? He says, then I will put my Ruach HaKodesh within you, right? And because I put my Ruach HaKodesh in you, because he said the spirit, but we know that's his Ruach is the Ruach HaKodesh. Look, make no mistake about it. They screwed around with the text, with the capitals and the lowers and all of that stuff. That should throw you off. But he's talking about the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? When they did all that translation and manipulate, you know, and they continue to do it. You know, sometimes you got to watch all of these versions. The NIV, the NIV, the King James, New King James, all of these versions, right? Just because it sounds good to say it the way it sounds. He says, I will put my spirit, my Ruach HaKodesh, not my small m, my small s, my capital M and my capital SPIRT. Right? And you, and cause you to walk in my statutes. It's going to cause you to keep my Torah. Walk in my statutes to keep my Torah. And to do that. You're going to be able to do it. Right? That's why he could say in 1 YOCHANON, that 5th chapter, he says, for whosoever, well, no, he says, for this is the love of Elohiym, that we keep his commandments. Right? And his commandment is not grievous. We can keep his commandments because, right, we're born of Yahusha. Right? We're Yahuwahs. Right? He says, for whatsoever is born of Elohiym overcometh the world, and this is the victory to overcometh the world, even your emunah. See, because your emunah led to your victory. You had to believe a word, a Torah, that pointed to Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right, as being Yeshua. You had to receive that Torah, right? You had to believe it, and you had to receive it, right? He says, for whosoever is born of Elohiym overcometh the world, and this victory overcometh the world, even our faith, right? It goes back to Ephesians 1:13. Right? In whom also ye trusted. After that ye heard the Torah of truth. Right? The good news of Yeshua. Right? You believed it. You believed it, right? In whom also, and after that you believed. Emunah. You heard the word. The word was enough to have you release a grain of mustard seed in what you heard. And you believed it. Right? And because you believed it, right, you were sealed. I need your Ruach HaKodesh. Yeah, because you got to have that witness. You sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh of promise, right? YOCHANON. Let's get back to YOCHANON now. We're going to get to, we're going to, something else I want to get to, but we're going to get to this too. He says, listen. Who is he that overcometh the world but he that believes? Believes this Besorah, this Torah. Believes in the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Believe that these signs follow them to believe. In my name they cast out devils. In my name they speak with new tongues. In my name if they take up any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They will take up serpents. They will lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. Why ain't you doing this, bro? Why aren't you doing this, Bruce? Because you don't believe. Why you ain't doing it? 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 If you have received this witness in this Ruach HaKodesh, you have an obligation to do this. Yahuwah has freely given you Yeshua. You need to freely give. Right? You need to lay hands on the sick. You need to speak a word, a Torah of truth. This is the victory. What you doing to help ensure somebody's victory? See, because you've overcome. Because you believed Yahusha Ha'Mashiach's witness. You believed that word that was in the beginning, that was with Yahuwah, that was Yahuwah, that was the same in the beginning with Yahuwah. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. This word, Yahusha, and the word was made flesh, and it dwelt among us, and we beheld its glory, even as it were the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. This word, this Torah, you believed it, right? Right? What you doing to ensure that someone else cross over? Right? I ain't talking about just taking them down in the water. If you take them down in the water and you don't pray for them to receive the Ruach HaKodesh, listen, you ain't completed the mission. If you don't bring them up and teach them what this is and empower them to go forth in this witness, to lay hands on the sick, to pray, to do the work of the evangelist, do the work of the ministry. I just want people sitting around in y'all little assemblies and gather and ain't nobody getting out. This Messiah must be preached. He said, listen. Now, this is he, Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, the Son of Elohiym, right? That came by water and blood. He was baptized in water, right? He was also in the womb of his mother encased in water, right? But he came by water because he was baptized by YOCHANON, the immerser. YOCHANON, look, I need you to baptize me. He said, no, you got to baptize me because all things must be fulfilled. I expect everyone to follow this same example. It has to be this way. I had to come by the water. So you got to be born again too. Of the water. And the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? Right? He says here, this is he, YOCHANON, the 6th chapter, 1st YOCHANON 5 and 6. This is he that came by water and blood. Right? Because he not only obeyed, because he learned obedience by things he suffered. He not only obeyed because of baptism, but he obeyed all the way to the cross. He obeyed all the way to the shedding of his blood. He obeyed all the way to death. And his blood was what was used to remit and atone for your sins. He came by water and blood. His own blood. Right? Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Not water only. He didn't just get out and get baptized. And that was it. Baptized, it's a wrap. But by the blood. Right? You got to receive the blood of Yahusha. Right? That's why, you can't argue that, you can't argue that, all I need to do is turn the Torah only. I just believe in Yah only. You don't have a ground, you don't have a leg to stand on. Even in the original covenant, you had to come by water and blood. This is not a new thing. You had to wash. He said, before you come to me, wash. Before you come before the high priest, wash. Right? And take your sacrifice. He says by water and blood. And it is the Ruach HaKodesh. Ruach HaKodesh. He said, it's the Spirit. It's the Ruach HaKodesh that bears witness. See, it's the Ruach HaKodesh in me, right, that allows me to bear witness to him. That's why it was essential for Yahuwah to have his disciples to wait for the Ruach HaKodesh in order to be the witness. Right? You can't witness without a Ruach HaKodesh successfully. Right? Because you really ain't his. You ain't his. You gotta have the Ruach HaKodesh. He says here, and it is the Ruach HaKodesh that bears witness. Now, you know, now, listen, right? Yahusha was baptized by YOCHANON, right? In obedience. YOCHANON said, listen, I gotta bear witness to this fact, right? That, you know, he told me that whom I should see the Ruach HaKodesh descending upon him and making its abode, right? This individual, this Son of Elohiym, Lamb of Yahuwah, that taketh away the sins of the world, right? I'm witnessing to the fact that he gonna baptize with the Ruach HaKodesh. Because you know why? The Ruach HaKodesh has already testified to him. The Ruach HaKodesh said a seal of approval on him. Oh yeah. Yahuwah himself said, listen, this is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. Yahuwah spoke from the Shamayim and declared Yahuwah was pleasing in his sight because, right, he was obedient to everything Yahuwah has said. Right? He demonstrated his love through keeping Yahuwah's word. He told Yahuwah, look, I got to go into this water. And you got to do it because we got to fulfill all things. We got to keep Yahuwah's word. He had the Ruach HaKodesh. He had the Ruach HaKodesh right up at the point where he was crucified. He had the Ruach HaKodesh. He went into the grave. He shed his blood. And Yahuwah raised him. Yahuwah raised him. He didn't raise himself. Yahuwah raised him. You gotta understand the Ruach HaKodesh testified to Yahusha. Raised him from the dead. Listen. And it is the Ruach HaKodesh that bears witness. That bears witness. That is the bearer of the truth of what happened. The Ruach HaKodesh. See, the Ruach HaKodesh in me, see, and that's why, listen, you always hear me pray. Yahuwah, allow your Ruach HaKodesh to speak through me. Right? Because, see, I ain't got time for me. You know, see, I got to trust. See, and I believe his Ruach HaKodesh is in my belly. I know I got signs that follow me, but I know that the Ruach HaKodesh is in my belly. So that I know that when I speak a word, right, Yahuwah is going to take that word and bring it forth in power because it is Ruach. Because of his Ruach HaKodesh. Right? I believe the witness. Right? I'm an example of one who believes the witness. I'm an example. He said, listen. He says, and it is the Ruach HaKodesh that bears witness. Right? Because the Ruach HaKodesh is truth. Now, I know it's that spirit, capital S and little letters. I don't care about that. It's a Ruach HaKodesh. I don't care nothing about that. It's a Ruach HaKodesh. So I'm going to say the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? So it's the Ruach HaKodesh that bears witness. The fact that Yahuwah put his Ruach HaKodesh on Yahuwah, right, came and abode on him, right, was the Ruach HaKodesh bearing witness, and Yahuwah himself verbally bore witness by saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased." The Ruach HaKodesh is truth. The Ruach HaKodesh is the truth. The Ruach HaKodesh is from the Father. The Ruach HaKodesh can't lie. The Ruach HaKodesh is the truth. The Ruach HaKodesh is going to bear witness to the truth. It's not going to bear witness to no lie. The Ruach HaKodesh, it's impossible for the Ruach HaKodesh to bear witness to a lie. Because it's truth. Listen. He said, "For there are three that bear record in heaven." Right? Abba, the Torah, right? The Word, right? And the Ruach HaKodesh, right? The Holy Ghost. You know what's interesting to me, right? They put it there, right? But they didn't put it in the 6th verse. Because you know why? They don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. They can't translate. There are some things that are in this book. There are some things that are in this history, right? This word, right? That are only going to be understood in having Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh. You will get twisted up without the Ruach HaKodesh. Because Ruach HaKodesh is truth. He says, listen. "For there are three that bear record or witness." Right, it's the same thing. To bear witness is to bear record. You testify to some events, right? You declare, right? Verbally, right? That based on some situations and circumstances, these things are accurate, right? Now, there's three that bear record in the Shamayim of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Abba, oh, this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased, right? The Word, which is Yahusha. The Word was made flesh, right? And it dwelt among us. And the Word of truth, right, bore witness to Yahusha. Because Yahusha was the Word made flesh, right? The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, right? Bore witness, right? And the Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh came down and descended upon him, right? Like a dove, right? Without measure. You get on bore witness to it. The immerser. Right, now listen. He said, now listen. "And there are three that bear witness, or bear record, or bear witness in the Eretz. The Ruach HaKodesh in you. The water that's been applied to you, right? And the blood that you have received and applied to you, in Emunah, right? In the earth, right? The record is the Ruach HaKodesh. See, he didn't say the water and the blood only. He said the Ruach HaKodesh, the water, and the blood. But see, you got to understand that the Ruach HaKodesh is essential because Yahusha himself said you got to be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to have the baptism of the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to have signs following. People want the Ruach, and they don't want to know that they got the Ruach. They just want to say, I got the Ruach. I be asking, who do I got the Ruach? I'm believing you for the Ruach. Do I have the Ruach? I know they say Hebrews look for a sign, but I'm believing in Emunah that I have the Ruach. I want signs follow me. I want to be speaking in tongues. I want to cast out devils. Not in the Baptist church. That's just some uncomfortable stuff. You don't cast out devils and we don't speak in tongues. Right. But these signs will follow them to believe who receive the witness. Man, you know. We'll baptize you, take you down 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Father, Son, and Ruach. Man, come on, please. Come on, please. Come on, man, please. You got to receive the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to receive the Ruach HaKodesh. He says, for there are 3 that bear record witness in the earth, the Ruach HaKodesh, the water, and the blood. These 3 are one. Just like there are 3 that bear witness in the Shamayim, the Father, the Word, and the Ruach HaKodesh. These 3 are one. They complete. You got to have all 3. Just like you got to have all 3, the Ruach HaKodesh, the water, and the blood. You have to. Right? He said, listen. If we receive the witness of men on earth, me, who have the Ruach HaKodesh, the water, and the blood, right? The witness of Yahuwah is greater for the witness of Yahuwah which he hath testified to his son. Yahuwah's witness is greater than my testimony, because he's already set his approval on his son. He did it a couple times. He did it at the baptism when he said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Then he did it when he was on the Mount Transfiguration, when Peter, James, and John was there. And you know, they wanted to start building temples, tabernacles, for Moses, Elias, and Yahusha. And Yahuwah had to, this is my beloved son, hear ye him. He has the approval. He has the Yeshua. He's purchased your Yeshua. It's his blood that's going to cleanse you. Not Elias. And not Moshe. Yahusha. He said, listen. They agree. They're in agreement. They function together. They fulfill the witness. The Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. The witness is not fulfilled in just the water. The witness is not just fulfilled in the blood. The witness, well, it ain't the Ruach HaKodesh, because you can't get the Ruach HaKodesh with the water and the blood. Right? So you got to understand this. Right? So he says here. They're one. He says, now. He says, if we receive the witness of men, the witness of Elohiym is greater. For this is the witness of Elohiym, which he hath testified to his son. Right? My beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. This is my beloved son, hear ye him. Right? He doesn't witness and testify to it. He said, right. He says, right? He that believeth on the Son of Elohiym, right? The witness haveth the witness in himself. The Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. See now, if you don't believe in the Ruach HaKodesh, then you don't have the Son. Because you can't have the Son without having the Ruach HaKodesh. They're all one. They're in agreement. They're one witness. They're one. You can't have one without the other. He that believeth on the Son of Elohiym haveth this witness in himself. He that believeth not Elohiym haveth made him a liar. Right. If you don't believe Yahuwah, you call him a liar. If you don't believe Yahuwah's witness, this is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. You don't believe Yahuwah's witness. Yeah, this is my beloved son. Hear ye him. You don't believe he was witness. Right? You make him out to be a liar. You tell him, well, you don't believe that he's your son. It's like, man, you say, tell you wicked, diabolical Hebrew spirit, you better come out of that Torah only, right? Because you calling you a liar. You calling you a liar. See what I'm talking about? It's Yah only. And you don't got to rule out this. You got a Ruach, but then you got the Ruach HaKodesh, and you got to set apart Ruach. Because set apart Ruach was only through Yahusha Ha'Mashiach's witness. He that believeth the Son of Elohiym haveth the witness in himself. He that believeth not hath made him a liar, because he believeth not the record. You don't believe the record. You believe Torah's record. But you don't believe this record. Then you don't really believe our Torah's record. Because Torah points to this record. The witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. You can't escape it. You can't escape it. Torah directs you to it. But you got to have his Ruach HaKodesh to really understand this. You got to have his Ruach HaKodesh. You got to have signs following. You gotta have, listen. The Ruach has gifts. Ruach HaKodesh has gifts. Comes with gifts. Right? Comes with gifts. Right? It comes with signs following. You should then say these gifts will follow you. You should say these signs shall follow you. The only thing that Yahusha drew reference to was love. The only thing he really drew reference to was the love. If you love me, right, you keep my commandments, right? And the only people that's going to love you is those that are born of you. And in order to be born again, you got to be born of the water of the Ruach HaKodesh. He says that he that haveth the Son of Yahuwah have life. Right? You have an exceeding great power on the inside of you. You have dunamus. You have exousia. You have a delegated authority. You have inherent explosive power. He that haveth the Son haveth life. He that haveth not the Son haveth not life. And to have the Son is to be born again. To have the Son is to have the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Right? Listen, right? So what I was going to get to. But you was good. You was good. Gotta understand. This witness is everything. You know, and as a nation of people, right? And this book is our history. Yeshua and Yehuda. This is our history. This is not the other nation's history. It's our history. It's a word that Yahuwah gave to us. Right? Now, he's given the witness to the other nations. But this Torah is our Torah. They profaned it. Right? They profaned it. Roman Catholic Church, Catholicism, they profaned it. They profaned it. Right? But it's our history. Right? Those who receive the witness that are of the other nations. Right? Right? This is for them to understand who Yahuwah is. For us, it is our history. It is our culture. Right? It is what Yahuwah had given to us. We are the Hebrews, the 12 tribes. Right? We are his people. Right? Yahuwah, listen, Yahuwah is for whoever wills. Whosoever believeth. Listen, he said in YOCHANON, right? Whosoever believeth that Yahusha Ha'Mashiach is born of Elohiym. Right? He's born of Elohiym. Meaning that Elohiym gives them birth. He puts his Ruach in them. He gives them life. Right? Whosoever. But this is our history. Right? So, we finished Ezra, and I'm not going to go through the book of Jubilees in its entirety. Actually, I'm just going to delve into the first chapter, right? Because that's what the Most High is going to point something out specifically in here that he wants to be made known. So, we're in the book of Jubilees. Listen. You know. Come on, this is a lesser Genesis. According to what is written, it is recorded by Moshe. Right? Just like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. They were all recorded. Right? They were documented. Right? You know, I mean, the story aspects. But they were all documented. Right? Jubilees is just as real as Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy, Leviticus. Right. It is as valid as any of the other scriptures and texts that are recorded. Right? Again, some of these were hid from us for a reason. Right? Because the order of Hasatan, the established satanic order, the prince of the power of the air, that Ruach that now worketh in the children of disobedience, understands that his time is short, and he understands that he has to make this world diabolical. Right? It's like in Ezra, he says, Yahuwah says, I can't take it no more. Fed up. It's time to judge these nations. It's time to judge the sinners. Right? Yahuwah is fed up. Right? So, when you understand the scriptures, you understand that they're all of equal value and importance. Right? And we have to, by the Ruach HaKodesh, look at them as sacred texts. So, let's look at Jubilees, right? First chapter. And it came to pass in the first year of the exodus of the children of Yasharal out of Mitzrayim, in the 3rd month of the 16th day of the month, that Elohim spoke to Moshe, saying, Come up to me on the mount, and I will give you 2 sapphire stones of the Torah. So Moshe had to go up and receive the Torah. Sapphire stones. Right? The sapphire stones were the commandments. Right? Right? Sapphire stones. Right? And Moshe went up unto the mount of Elohiym, and the glory of Yahuwah abode on the Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai. And a cloud overshadowed it 6 days. Now, listen. Mount Sinai is in Africa. It's either Mount Kenya or that other mountain on the Congo or Tanzania. It's one of the big mountains. Listen, I think these other nations have lambuzled us and tricked us into believing that Israel is over on that Ron Jones says, on that land that's about the size of New York City. Yeah, it's critical thinking, y'all. You just got to be critical thinking. You got to use critical thinking. That a whole nation of people that is known for their multiplication is supposed to exist in the area about the space of New York City. No, New York. State of New York. Or it was state of New York. I think we said. I hope I get that right. I don't like to misquote anybody. So, Moshe was on Mount Sinai. So these geographicers and all these people, they had latitude to make whatever they want to make what they wanted. They could switch it around. Right? Even if you look at some of the first maps, I think one of the first maps that I seen was a round circumference, and it was flat, from a flat perspective. I ain't even go into that whole flat earth theory. Listen, then. That's not because I don't believe it. But I'm just saying, that's just too much for me. People, that's just way too much for people. But the idea is that land masses and landmarks were moved around to hide and conceal. Because if they hit our identities right from our history in this CEPHER, right? They took lands and flipped and switched it. They did that stuff, right? So it's not a hard stretch to believe that, right? So Moshe went up to Mount Sinai, right? And a cloud overshadowed him 6 days. See, he was up there 6 days, right? And he called to Moshe on the 7th day out of the midst of the cloud, and the appearance of the glory of Yahuwah was like a flame of fire at the top of the mountain. So, similar to what you see in the Genesis. Or, yeah, it's similar to what you see in Genesis, right? He says here, and Moshe was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights. Right? So he got the CEPHER stones, right? But he was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights, right? And Elohim taught him the earlier and the latter history of the division of all the days of the Torah and of the testimony. Right? So he taught Moshe the division of days from the beginning of creation, right? That which Enoch speaks of, division of days, right? Right? Seasons and times. He taught Moshe these things, right? He taught Moshe Torah, right? Because Torah's always been around. Enoch had Torah. Right? His words was desperately wicked. And only righteous Lot was willing to keep Torah. Right? Only righteous Lot No, righteous Noah, not Lot, but righteous Noah, excuse me. Righteous Noah was keeping Torah. So, Yahuwah took him and wiped everybody out. And raised up everything from him. It's his 3 sons. Right? So, it says here, and he said, incline your heart to every word. Incline your heart to every word. Everything I'm saying you. Release your emunah in this. Let this come into your heart. Right? Every word. Right? Which I shall speak to you on the mount, and write them in a CEPHER. Record them. Right? Now I gave you the tablets of stone. Gave you the tablets. But I need you to record. I need you to record Genesis. I need you to record Exodus. I need you to record Deuteronomy. I need you to record Leviticus. I need you to record Jubilees. Right? I need you to do this. Right? Right? I need you to record this book. So he says here, incline your hearts to hear every word which I shall speak to you on this mount, and write them in a CEPHER in order that the generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have wrought in transgressing my covenant. Right. Record it. In order that they may see in writing how they have transgressed my covenant. Right? He says this. He says, and he said, incline your hearts to every word which I shall speak to you on this mount, and write them in a CEPHER, in order that the generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have wrought in transgressing the covenant which I established between me and you for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. See, Yahuwah had already disclosed to Moshe the nature, disclosed, showed, revealed. Moshe witnessed it, the nature of the people of Yaakov, right? The 12 tribes, right? Right? He says, and thus it shall come to pass when all these things come upon them, right? Right? That they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their actions. And they will recognize that I have been truly with them. See, it was like, this Torah, these judgments, these decisions, this execution of justice is always right. They're going to be able to understand, be able to tell that it's right. They're going to have a witness against them. And the idea is that if they have a record, a witness, a testimony, right? A witness, right? then they may be able to see the sins of their ancestors, and they may turn in their hearts and repent and come back to me. Right? He says, listen. He says, and thus it will come to pass when all these things come upon them, like these judgments, that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they. Shut up, Kadar! And all their judgments and in all their actions, and they would recognize that I have been truly with them. Yahuwah knew. See. This is about a plan. This is about a righteous, systematic plan that has been cunningly devised by the most cunning mind that has ever been. Yahuwah. He has this plan, right, that's going to stretch over time. It's going to bring his people to a place of suffering because of disobedience. That is going to turn around and reward them, right, for receiving his witness and being established in his witness. Having received this understanding as the apostles had given to the people on the day of Pentecost, how they preached this word that caused the men to say, listen, we have done this and we know it. What do we have to do? Gotta receive the witness. Right? You said they gotta write this down. Now listen, right? This was written down for us, right? No doubt they had a record of jubilees, right? But this was written for us. Our people had jubilees, like they had Enoch, like they had Yeshua. They had these books. We didn't. They were hid from us. They took books out of the Bible. They took away and they added to. Diabolical. Right? Diabolical. In an attempt to hide the identity of the people of Yahuwah, to cause you to be trapped in this perpetual sin for lifestyle that, kept you from keeping Torah. Diabolical, right? He says, and do you write for yourself all these words which I declare unto you this day, for I know their rebellion. He told Yaakov. They were his firstborn. Right? Told Yaakov was his firstborn. Right? But rebellious. Stiff neck. Hard-headed. Right? Wanted to do what they wanted to do. Didn't want to keep Torah. Wanted what the other nations were offering. Right? Listen. Before I bring them into the land of which I swore unto their fathers IVRIYM and Yitzhak and Yaakov, saying, unto your seed will I give a land flowing with milk and honey. Listen, point number 2. That's the continent. Ain't no milk and honey flowing over there in the Middle East over there with it. Can't hardly grow much over there. You can't grow up. Hills and pastures. That's Bantu land. That's Hebrew Bantu lands. Listen, we migrated. We have migration patterns, right? We migrated throughout sub-Saharan Africa. Yisrael. We migrated to South Africa Bantus. We Midwest. We were Bantu. They the largest language group in sub-Saharan Africa. Bantu language, which is a bunch of different languages, right? Swahili, a whole bunch of them. I don't even know them all, right? But they have cattle. They have milk and honey. They stiff-necked. Still stiff-necked. Still rebellious. Still warring amongst themselves. He says, and they will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to strange Elohims, which cannot deliver them from out of their tribulation, and this witness shall be heard for a witness. This Torah is going to be a witness for a witness. Yahusha was the Torah made flesh. He was the witness of which Yahuwah, the word Yahusha, and the Ruach HaKodesh witnessed to. See now, our people, Yahuwah was telling Moshe what the people were going to do upon entering the land. Flowing with milk and honey. And Yahuwah purposely left the other nations in their lands to test them. They were never really utterly able to destroy them. You know, up until under Dawid. Dawid was like, well, before Dawid, man, he subdued all his enemies. He had everybody paying tribute to Yahshua. But you don't hear this history. You don't hear this. This is Bantu history. You don't hear this. This is Igbo, which is Bantu. I mean, it's all this history, right? You don't hear this, right? He says here, for they will forget all my commandments, even all that I command them, and they will walk after the other nations and after their uncleanness. You know, we as Hebrews, man, we just want to be a part of the other nation. Right? We want to put down roots here in America. Right? We want to put our lands and properties and have houses and, you know, and granted, you know, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. But we know that we're a people, and this is not our land. Right? We know that we are a people, Yahuwah's people, and we know we have a land in sub-Saharan Africa. Right? You don't want to put down roots in sub-Saharan Africa. Right? You want to put down roots here in America. We want to live like the other nations. You know, go to Wally World. Walmart. Get that food, quick food. Go to McDonald's and Burger King's and have it kill us slowly. Killing us. Right? You know, we want Gucci. Gucci don't want us. We want Louis Vuitton, but Louis Vuitton don't want us. We want to play with them on an equal playing field, but they will never consider us equal. Listen, right? Again, you know, I'm thinking, you know, I'm listening to Kanye West. Kanye West is like this. He going in. He said, I'm trying to free my people. Right? Right? I'm trying to feed my people. I mean, they done poked the bear. You know, the scales is off my eyes. I see clearly. He says, you know, I don't care if they kill me. Right? I don't care if they kill me. He spoke of us being of the 12 tribes. We the 12 tribes. We the real Jews. He said, you know what it means to be anti-Semitic? He said, this is what means to be anti-Semitic when you call your brother, when you say to your brother, I'm going to kill you, nigga. I'm going to kill you, nigga. That's anti-Semitic. He said, when we tell our sisters, call them bees and hoes, that's anti-Semitic. Again, you know, he after he finished, he says, you know, he says something in Jesus' name, you know, just gotta, you know, who allows to correct that, you know, it ain't Jesus. Let's go another step further, right? So, but it's the idea. They don't want to be a part of the other nation, but Kanye West said they don't want you to be a part of them. He said, listen, I'm a billionaire. But you ain't never seen me on Forbes one time. Why? Because they don't want me on Forbes. They don't want to know. They don't want the world to know that I'm a billionaire. Right? He said, I don't care if I lose it all. I'm going to wake up my people. I'm going to wake up my people. I'm saying, listen. He says, and they will walk after the other nations, and after their uncleanness, and after their shame, and will serve their Elohims, and these will prove unto them an offense, and a tribulation, and an affliction, and a snare. Our people are afflicted and ensnared in the Americas because we want to hold on to Babylon. We're afflicted and snared. We're held in the bondage, captivity. Can't get free. Snared. Because we need to be born again. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, we're going to stop there. We're going to stop at the 11th verse of this first chapter. And on tomorrow, Yahuwah willing, we're going to get through this chapter. Right? But it's about the witness. It's about freeing our people. It's about having signs follow. It's about being that witness. It's about waking our people up to the witness. The Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Waking them up to the need to be born again. And then to have them to understand in receiving the Ruach HaKodesh, they have all they need to get the job done. Yeah, you're going to have tribulation. Tribulation ain't an enemy, it's an ally. Tribulation works. It develops, it establishes you. It's necessary for you. We glory in tribulation. The Ruach HaKodesh in us. We glory in tribulation. Again, that's my Kaya. Yahweh, in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, I pray that the words you have given me to give to them, that they would receive it in Imudah. You said faith coming by hearing, hearing by the word of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah, all I've given them is the word. And I pray that your word would bring life and peace and medicine to their flesh, that it would establish them in this witness. Yahuwah, that they would give them what they need to endure to the end. Yahuwah, that the word that I speak would be medicine to their flesh. I speak healing to bodies that are sick. I speak deliverance to those that are bound by demons. I command Hasatan to take his hands off you in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. I speak a word of righteous deliverance in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach across the board to those who listen and hear these videos. In the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, you I pray that the words that I speak, the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart, the words that I speak would be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. Yahuwah is to be praised. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yahuwah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Today, Yahuwah's favorite Jew. Blow the trumpet in Zion. Sound the alarm on our holy mountain. Babylon is falling. Man of Yah called to greatness. Woman called to greatness. Woman of you beautifully wonderfully made today. Yahuwah's favorite. Listen. Go forth in this word, this truth, this witness, and be blessed. Shalom.
Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.